Hi, I'm talking directly to that sales or business development leader who is concerned about their team not being able to differentiate themselves against competitors, who's concerned about the perception in the industry. You have an amazing team and you've got a lot of accomplishments, maybe even some awards, but yet the team, it doesn't come across to the level that it needs to. There isn't this perception, or there's a concern about the perception of how knowledgeable and how innovative and how influential your team is. And so when we think about LinkedIn personal branding and thought leadership, it is perfect for teams to be elevated because the team is comprised of all of these people who have personal brands and who are thought leaders. We know that you have these, but how do we bring those out using LinkedIn so that your clients and your prospects are fully aware of the amazingness of your team and your company? Now, your company brand and your personal brand, they're tied together. So I don't recommend just spewing out all the company language, the company story, everything company. We want to blend that together. We want to take advantage of the personal brands and have them, it's a mutual opportunity. Those brands, those individual brands make up the power of the organization, right? The thought leadership of the organization. So it's sort of, and why keep all of that amazing presence secret? Why keep that secret? Why not let that out into the world and let people be aware and make it more visible about the expertise and the brand of your people as well as your company? So typically we do start with company pages as well as individual profiles. And we want that expertise to be clear and evident, but not come across as boastful. I mean, there's a balance there. And you can certainly do that by coaching your team through that uh, process so that they're accentuating those things that you want them to accentuate. And I'm really a believer that we want to make this as personalized as possible. So yes, there's company language, but we want to bring forth the individual values, the individual vision, the personalities, their unique approaches that they bring to the business. That together is what makes the magic. It's very personalized. And it's also important for people on your team to be specific about what they do. Many times I look on LinkedIn and see very generic. So no wonder you might be worried, oh, can we differentiate from the competitors? Well, I can see that because if the profiles and the content aren't bringing out your approach, your values, those things that are important, you know, what your success is, then you look like everyone else. So you want to be specific, be very clear, provide clarity on the work that you do, the work that your team does, because some of them are they're going to have individual perspectives on what they bring to the work. Even if they have similar jobs, they might have unique territories, they might have unique customer bases, they might have, variations on how they deliver that work. And we want that to come out and be very specific. And part of that is the language that's used. Language that you just select for LinkedIn is very important. One of the first things is the keywords or the phrases, because that's how people will find you. And it's more than just search. People think about, they make a judgment or evaluate you and your team based on the language that you're using. Is it industry jargon? Is it thought provoking? Is it bringing out the specific expertise, or is it just bland or missing in action, which is what I see. So you want to use that language because it creates an impression, a brand impression. So that's like the keywords and phrases. And then I also recommend writing everything in the first person. It's friendly. I, my, and don't be worried, because you can, with a little bit of effort, you can make your first person narrative sound very interesting, very compelling. It doesn't need to sound boastful at all. Using action language. So the language is important. It's part of the impression. When people look at your LinkedIn profile, they're going to look first at that introduction card, which is at the very top of your LinkedIn profile. That's where the first impression happens. And if you have a good first impression and they're interested in you and what you're all about, they're going to scroll down and look at the rest of your profile. That introduction card includes your name, your headline, your photo, your background photo, information about where your location, your school, your company, all of that is part of that first impression. So yes, there's words. Some of that keywords I mentioned is going to be in your headline, but there's also images. You want to have fabulous imagery. Headshot that's current, that's smiling, right? A background photo that is indicative of your expertise, indicative of your industry, of the value that you bring, how you help your clients. So that is your impression on the introduction card. So it's a combination of language and images and links. All of that is part of the introduction card. So images can be used in other parts of your profile as well. Each section of your profile, you want to think about specifically each section. How can I bring that to life? How can I make it personal? How can I describe what I do, how I help? In your experience section and your about essay, how do I help my clients, right? Bring that forward from a personal perspective. And the way we help teams is help blend in that company language, but the individual is going to be creating themselves the value that they bring, and using every section of the profile, whether it's experience, the about section, the certifications, the languages, the awards, all the organizations. There's so many different sections, and we want it to be complete. I love the featured section, and I love using video on LinkedIn. You can use video in your profile and in your content. It's wonderful because people get to know you. They get to feel like, could I work with this person? If you can't have that feeling, then that you're going to go on to the next person, or if it's very generic. Once you have video, people get to know you. They get to hear your voice. They get to see what matters, kind of how you handle yourself, right? And that's really important. The video is important. So all of that's really the profile. But honestly, how do you get them to your profile? Usually you're going to get people to your profile because of content, or possibly messaging, combination of messaging and content. It's really the whole category of engagement. And being a thought leader, differentiating yourself and your team is so important. And LinkedIn content is the way to make that happen. So the first piece of advice is to be able to do strategic commenting, finding those posts that are, connected to your industry, that are important in your industry, that are relevant to your clients, and being able to engage with insights, with helpful tips, with knowledge, not trying to hijack a post, but really trying to add value. Because what happens is people are going to be more likely to see you by all your commenting. And honestly, I think it takes the stress level off. I'm not a big believer in asking your team to go out there and post every day. I mean, yes, we want them to create content when it's authentic, when it's comfortable, when it's real, when it makes sense. And yes, they can do posts and articles and videos. It's all great. But I like to take the pressure off. I like to have them be more engaging with others, with their colleagues, with their company, with their customers and their prospects, just by engaging, adding those questions, adding those insights. They will be seen. And guess what? People will learn what matters to to your team. Your team members, once they're coached on how to do the strategic commenting, they will be seen for the experts they are, the way their thought process, their personality, how they come across. All of that is available by just their engagement. And so it's a combination of commenting as well as sharing and messaging, being that friendly. In fact, the way I teach it is I have a mantra, which is called be the friend first. Don't come on LinkedIn just expecting people to do everything for you, but come forward with gratitude. Excuse me. Come forward with gratitude. Come forward and highlight others, ask questions, be involved, and be engaged. That's how you can be successful and be visible. We want to create that. It's not just a perception that we're influential and knowledgeable, but it's really bringing out who we truly are, bringing that out into the world and not keeping it a secret. Thank you very much.